The Last of Us Part 2 is the absolute shitstorm that we anticipated it would be, and this is what happens anytime you have a company that is introducing identity politics into the equation. When those identity politics are rejected by the fans because it affects the storytelling, they then turn on the fans and blame the fans for having an opinion that's toxic, and they start inventing things that the fans have never said, inventing scenarios, inventing anti-this scenarios. It never ends with these people. It's an endless rabbit hole of nonsense, as I always say. And The Last of Us Part 2 is proving to be maybe the biggest example of that. The Last of Us 2, now we are in the early stages of this game releasing and facing criticism, but it's pretty bad. I mean, this may top The Last Jedi. Time will tell. Obviously, Star Wars is a bigger brand than The Last of Us, but The Last of Us is a major brand within the gaming industry, and we will see how this all plays out. Plus, The Last Jedi was a situation where it wasn't as obvious and in your face to a lot of people, myself included. It took me a while to see what was going on with The Last Jedi, whereas The Last of Us, it's a lot more in your face, especially with how the leaks played out and how Naughty Dog copyright struck so many people, myself included, and has yet to acknowledge any of that stuff, which is the most beautiful part of it. But let's talk about some of the craziness going on. First of all, we've got reports that people's reviews cannot be submitted on Metacritic. This person right here says this is what happened when you try to post a review on The Last of Us Part 2 on Metacritic. Yet in one day, the average has gone from 3.1 to 4.2 and rising. And the sheep gamers who love this hunk of shit would have you believe that this game is only being review bombed by haters. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing here is they love to paint that narrative that it's only haters, and like I've talked about in previous videos, there's just as much positive review bombing going on as negative review bombing. You know, you can't really take the reviews anymore as a number that is authentic, but what you can do is you can look at how much passion is on one side or the other. I've talked about how Christopher Nolan's my favorite director by a mile. I love Christopher Nolan, but there's no doubt that his fan base, I'm part of it, you know, we go and we review bomb his movies in a positive way. And some of his movies that may not deserve quite the acclaim that they've gotten are there because they've been positively review bombed. And that just kind of reflects the passion that he as a filmmaker gets from his fan base. So there is positive review bombing and negative review bombing. And that's the thing that they never want to mention when they write these articles about toxic fans and haters. They never want to mention the positive review bombing. It's only the negative, because it's all about a narrative trying to be created by the media, because this game does have identity politics in it. So if they can paint a negative picture of gamers that hate this game because of the LGBT representation, which is a complete lie. That is not why people are upset at all, but that's what they will continue to pander to and continue to try and drive home. We've got another tweet here. The Last of Us 2 is getting nuked on Metacritic, so they started to remove reviews from 5K to 3K, and it only made the score go lower. Now, that is from several days ago. Obviously, now if you go to Metacritic, it's got an insane amount of reviews now. There's 69,000 reviews, and it's at a 4.2. I have a hard time believing that it went from a 3.3 all the way to a 4.2 because everyone is negatively review bombing. There's positive review bombing. There's genuine positive reviews. There's genuine negative reviews. This always happens. This is not breaking news, but they want to paint that picture. So we've got articles from places like CNET, why The Last of Us Part 2 is getting internet hate. And of course, what do they focus in on? They focus in on the identity politics, where it's people that are just hating at lesbians. You play as Joel throughout the first game, and within hours, he's dead. Ellie is the hero now. This, according to a vocal minority of the fans, is the issue. It's not just the protagonist is a woman. or that she's gay, although there is a lot of objection to that. It's not just that Joel dies, it's that Naughty Dog promoted a sequel that starred Joel, but he's almost immediately replaced by a lesbian lead. That is not why people are upset. You are absolutely fabricating the problems with this game to push your agenda, which is exactly why so many people are tired of this shit. This is unacceptable in the minds, tweets, and Metacritic reviews of some angry gamers. They accuse Naughty Dog of sacrificing Joel to promote its social justice values. That is true, but it has nothing to do with her being a lesbian. People didn't have a problem with her being a lesbian in the DLC of The Last of Us. Go look at the user reviews of that, where there's a few people, yes. I'm tired of saying there are a few fucking people. There's always a few people that have a bad opinion. Why do you act like that's the majority? And I know you said it's the vocal minority, but you're still trying to paint a false narrative around the criticism. There is valid criticism for why people are upset about this game. And I love how you go through point by point, just like Forbes did with their article, where you want to go by point, but at no point in your article did you mention the false copyright flags by Naughty Dog. I also love how Neil Druckmann on Twitter wanted to point out all of the things that he's being accused of, and he in a very sarcastic way dismisses it, which is perfectly fine. But at no point does he ever acknowledge the copyright abuse. Why is that, Neil Druckmann? Why don't you want to acknowledge the copyright abuse? Maybe it's because you know you are 100% guilty of that. This has been the biggest story surrounding The Last of Us within the gaming community on YouTube. Even Angry Joe covered it. Everybody has talked about this. Young talked about it. Scarce covered my situation with what happened with me on Twitter and on YouTube. There's been other YouTubers, big and small, that have been affected by the copyright abuse, yet none of the mainstream outlets want to mention that. Why won't they mention that? Because they cannot form a false narrative around it. Once you start admitting that Naughty Dog false flagged channels for memes and for having opinions, you've already lost. So that's why they don't even bring it up, because they cannot form a false narrative around it to play the everyone is an ist or an ism crap. So they can't do it, because everyone that was false flagged, everyone that was struck, won their appeal. Every single person that was struck won their appeal. You put people's channels in danger because you didn't like their opinions. And yes, there are the weirdos out there in the comment section that says, you can't share spoilers, Jeremy. I didn't fucking share any spoilers. Go back and look at the live stream that was struck down on my channel that's over on Geeks and Gamers Live right now. You can watch the whole thing. I shared no spoilers. But my video was taken down while I was live. My channel was struck. I lost the ability to live stream for what? For a false flag. Yet, none of these mainstream outlets want to bring that up. And of course they don't, because they can't build their everybody's a toxic gamer that has a negative opinion narrative. So they just don't even bring it up. None of these publications will bring it up. And it is absolutely ridiculous. But they're always trying to build that victim narrative. And again, Neil Druckmann, he wants to bring up all of the things that he's being accused of, yet he doesn't mention the copyright abuse. Very interesting indeed, Neil Druckmann. But this ain't going away. Now, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know. I have no idea how bad this is going to be. Right now, this early on after the release, a couple of things we know. The Last of Us Part 2 is selling unbelievably well. And that has to be noted. And it's not surprising. It's the sequel to one of the most beloved games in recent memory. So it's absolutely going to sell well. It was always going to sell well. Spider-Man 3 did extremely well at the box office, but we didn't get a Spider-Man 4, and it came off of Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Spider-Man 2, by the way. The best Spider-Man, in my opinion. Tobey will always be Spider-Man to me. But the point is that Spider-Man 3 was not a very good movie, but it saw incredible success coming off of the greatness of Spider-Man 2. But we never got that Spider-Man 4. Now, there's a lot of reasons why that never happened, but ultimately, if Spider-Man 3 would have been a great film and produced at the box office, then we probably would be talking about a different situation. Now, The Last of Us Part 2 has sold extremely well. It is on fire, and that has to be noted. But the controversy is massive. And it's going to take some time to figure out how the overall gaming industry responds from a gamer standpoint. Are people going to return it? Are the sales going to plummet in the next 2 weeks? We don't know. But the controversy is there. People are frustrated. People are mad. So time will tell what happens. But right now, as it stands, this does seem like it could be worse than The Last Jedi. Ultimately, it is The Last Jedi of us. It is that bad. This is going to break the franchise, it appears. It's going to split the fan base, it appears. But until we get some more perspective, that is only speculation on my part. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Go over to geeksandgamers.com, make you an account, jump in our forums. There's a personal blog that you have with your account, so feel free to enjoy all of that. And then if you're interested, please consider becoming a premium member for $10 a month, and you will get exclusive content from myself and the Geeks and Gamers team. You guys have a great day. Thank you very much for checking out this video. Solo lost money. Raylos are weird. Fuck Naughty Dog, and we will talk to you later.